చేయగలరు. యూట్యూబ్ www.youtube.com/c/dd Saptagiri.
స్క్రీన్ మీద కనబడుతున్న క్యూఆర్ కోడ్ ని స్కాన్ చేయడం ద్వారా డిడి సప్తగిరి యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ని వీక్షించగలరు. మరిన్ని అప్డేట్స్ కోసం డిడి సప్తగిరి యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి.
ఈమెయిల్ ddSaptagiri@gmail.com. ఫేస్బుక్ www.facebook.com/dd Saptagiri. ట్విట్టర్ twitter.com/dd Saptagiri VJA. ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్ www.instagram.com/dd Saptagiri.
Ap-Vidya Varadhi program. This is T. Srinivas, School Assistant English, ZPHS, Mangalapuram, Salpalli Mandal, Krishna District. First of all, Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. What is Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat? One India, Great India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has given us Ek Bharat. Now it is our responsibility to make that Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. Under Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, we have been assigned to discuss about Punjab state. Both Punjab and Andhra Pradesh, both states have so many similarities. Both states are agrarian based states. Both states have produced so many great freedom fighters. So both states have so many martyrs. In Punjab state we have Sardar Kartar Singh, whereas in Andhra Pradesh we have Alluri Sitaramraju, Kanniganta Hanumantu. And in Punjab we have Gurumukhi script. In Andhra Pradesh we have Devanagari script. So in so many ways Andhra Pradesh and Punjab share so many similarities. So that is Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. So though we live in different states, we all have same spirit. In Punjab they celebrate Baishakhi, whereas in Andhra Pradesh we celebrate Sankranti. So many similarities are there. So don't think that there is another state, that state have different things, but though the thing seems to be different, we all have so many similarities. We are all one. So we share similarities in traditions, customs and costumes, rituals, food habits. So Ek Bharat is always Shresth Bharat. So Ek Bharat, it is our responsibility to uphold the spirit our ancestors has given us to make it as Shresth Bharat. Now coming to the slide, next slide, that is QR code. All of you look at the monitors please. So quick response code, QR code. What is QR code? Quick response code. Quick response code means this is a technique which has been introduced in our textbooks to provide additional information to children. So previously we have only print of textbooks, print of some words, print of some pictures, but because of this QR code we can access a lot of information regarding our lessons. So make use of the QR codes. These QR codes are a part and parcel of our textbooks. In each and every subject, in each and every lesson we have these QR codes. There will be a number. Use those numbers and try to get additional information and good knowledge using this new innovative technology, quick response codes. Okay, right. Now today I have decided to take up a topic, reported speech. Children, in my last class I have taken a 5th unit. In the 5th unit I have discussed about the lesson, that is environment, and I have also discussed about a poem, and I have also discussed some textual grammar. In that 5th unit, one structural point, one grammar point. The grammar point is reported speech. Today I would like to discuss about reported speech. I would like to provide you some examples from textbook itself for the sake of our examination and for the sake of gaining our knowledge. Okay, all of you look at the monitor please. So the topic I have chosen is reported speech. Look at the screen, all of you. Reported speech. What is reported speech? Reported speech is nothing but indirect speech. What is speech in grammar? So speech literally means talking. We do talk to people. Okay. regarding grammar, speech is two types. How many types it is? Two types. One is direct speech, the other one is indirect speech. So, what is direct speech? What is indirect speech? If two persons talk face to face, that is called as direct speech. If only message is sent to the other person, that is called as indirect speech. Suppose if we stand face to face and speak, we can understand whether it is a direct speech or indirect speech. What if we write that sentence? What if we convey that message on a paper? How do we distinguish a direct speech with a indirect speech? Very simple. Direct speech, that means the message we give face to face is always represented by inverted commas. So, look at the screen. On the screen you have two sentences. First one, direct speech. The example given for that one is, father said to the narrator, I will see you myself at the wrong. So, father said to the narrator, comma, inverted commas begin, I will see you myself at the wrong. That is called as direct speech. When something is being indicated using inverted commas, that means it is direct speech, face to face conversation. That means speaker and receiver are face to face. Look at the indirect speech. Father told the narrator that he would see himself at the wrong. Okay, what is the difference between the direct speech and indirect speech? In the direct speech, we have inverted commas, whereas in the indirect speech is also known as reported speech. Don't think that reported speech is different. Reported speech is nothing but indirect speech. So, the difference between direct speech and indirect speech is that in the direct speech there are inverted commas, whereas in the indirect speech there are no inverted commas. In the place of inverted commas, we do write some word. So, they are all the changes. When we change direct speech and indirect speech, these are all the changes. Okay. So, the basic thing to distinguish a direct speech with indirect speech is, while we are writing on the paper, is inverted commas. So, if there are inverted commas, it is called as direct speech. If there are no inverted commas, it is called as indirect speech. So, that is one simple thing to distinguish between direct speech and indirect speech. Now, what we have to do? We have to change a direct speech into indirect speech. In the examination, they give a direct speech, that means a sentence with inverted commas, and they will ask you to change it into indirect speech. How to change a direct speech into indirect speech? How to change a sentence with inverted commas to a sentence without inverted commas? So, if we simply arrange inverted commas, it does not do. We have to follow some rules, some guidelines. What are the guidelines? So, in order to change the direct speech into indirect speech, first of all we must know the things which are there in that direct speech. Okay. So, if we closely observe direct speech, we have two parts. One is inside the inverted commas, the other one is outside the inverted commas. That means there are two sentences actually. Okay. So, what we have to do? We have to change the part in the inverted commas into indirect speech. We have to report it actually. Okay. So, when we are bothering about the sentence in the inverted commas, there comes the type of sentence. That means how many types of sentences are there? There are 4 types of sentences. One is assertive sentence, the other one is interrogative sentence, next one is imperative sentence, and another one is exclamative sentence. So, in the inverted commas, we may have a statement, that is assertive sentence. We may have a command or maybe a request, that is imperative sentence. We may have a question, that is interrogative sentence. We may have an exclamation, some surprise, that is exclamative sentence. So, there are 4 types of sentences which we have to change them into indirect speech, and 4 types of sentences have their own rules and regulations while we are changing them from direct speech to indirect speech. In this class, I would like to concentrate on assertive, that is statements, and the interrogative sentence. Why? In the examination, majority of the questions are from either from assertive or from interrogative, or sometimes they are giving it as a dialogue. They are giving an exchange, a dialogue, a question and answer, and we are being asked to change it in indirect speech. So, that is why I have taken up this concept, that is changing an assertive sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, changing an interrogative sentence, that means a question, from direct speech to indirect speech. First, I would like to take up an assertive sentence. So, in order to change an assertive sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, what are the rules we have to follow? What are the areas where we have to make changes? Let us see. Look at the screen. So, on the screen I have written a sentence. Look at the sentence. Abel said to Emilia. Remember children, I have picked up all these sentences from our textbook itself. I have written my own sentences. I have taken the examples or sentences from the textbook lessons itself because it is useful for us to understand the lesson as well as in the examination point of view also. Okay. So, the given sentence here, this is Abel said to Emilia, I want you to attend my marriage. Can you guess from which lesson I have taken this sentence? Yes, you are right. This is from Unit 2, that is the Dear Departed lesson. So, Abel said to Emilia, I want you to attend my marriage. That is direct speech. How can you say it is a direct speech? Because there are inverted commas. Okay. So, what is the part in inverted commas? I want you to attend my marriage. What is the part outside inverted commas? Abel said to Emilia. Okay. So, when we were given a sentence like this, first of all we have to identify what kind of sentence we are asked to change it into indirect speech. How? By looking at the sentence in the inverted commas. What is the sentence in the inverted commas? I want you to attend my marriage. That is a statement. Statement means assertive sentence. So, now we are changing an assertive sentence from direct speech to indirect speech. Got it? Right. So, I have decided that I am going to change an assertive sentence from direct speech to indirect speech by looking at the sentence which is inside the inverted commas. Note this point. Okay. If you look at the sentence outside the inverted commas, that is same for each and every type. For interrogative sentence also it will be the same, for imperative also it will be the same, for exclamatory also it will be the same. So, we can't distinguish what kind of sentence we were given by looking at the sentence outside the inverted commas. By looking at the sentence inside the inverted commas only we can decide. Here what I have taken, I want you to attend my marriage. That is a statement. So, what is assertive sentence? A statement. All statements are either positive or negative. They are called as assertive sentences. They usually begin with a noun or pronoun. That means a subject. Okay, ends with a full stop. So, this fulfills all my things. So, this is an assertive sentence. So, now we are changing an assertive sentence from direct speech to indirect speech or reported speech. Okay. When we are changing, what are the changes, what are the places where we have to make changes? Look at the answer for that one. When I change Abel said to Emilia, I want you to attend my marriage into reported speech, the answer would be Abel told Emilia that he wanted her to attend his marriage. Look at the changes. What happened? First change, said to became told. Next change, in the place of inverted commas and comma, I have kept a word there. What is that word there? That is that. And what happened to I became he. What happened to want became wanted. What happened to you became her. Okay. So, to attend it remains same. What happened to my became his. Okay. So, these are the changes. Now, let us see one by one the places where we have made changes and the rules regarding to their changes. Okay. First one, as I told you, said to became told. So, that is called as reporting verb. So, the first place where we have to make a change when we are changing a direct speech into indirect speech is a reporting verb. That is either said or say to, says to, said to, or any other word. These are called as reporting verbs outside the inverted commas. So, the first change we have to make is in reporting verb. That is first one. Next one is by removing inverted commas, we have to write a link word. That is a conjunction most probably, that is that. Okay. So, second change is link word. So, for each and every modal we have to substitute the inverted commas with a word, a linker, that is here, that is called as link word. Okay. Now, coming to the next change. Next change is I, you, my. What are they? They are pronouns actually. So, the pronouns inside the inverted commas they change. Okay. I change it to, look at the answer, I change it to he, and you change it to her, and my change it to his. So, how they changed? Why we have to change? That is what we have discussed now. So, pronouns changes. If there is noun, we need not to change them. Rama always remains Rama. Rama never become Sita. Rama is Rama, Sita is Sita. So, nouns don't change. Okay. But pronouns we have to change. How to change? Let us see. Okay. So, the third change is pronouns. So, pronouns means first person pronouns, second person pronouns, third person pronouns. Okay. All the pronouns change. Okay. Next one. Next one is, fourth one is want. Want became wanted. So, that is verb form. So, the verb form in the inverted commas it has to be changed. So, want became here wanted. Why it became wanted? Let us discuss. Okay. Next one. Next one is actually in the given sentence the general word is not there, but there are some general words. So, what are general words? While we are changing direct speech, indirect speech, the general words are this become that, like that. Okay. Today, tomorrow, yesterday, here, ago, these are called as general words. Some general words they do change when we are changing a direct speech into indirect speech. So, be clear. So, when we are changing a direct speech into indirect speech, first of all we should be very clear what kind of sentence we are changing. What kind of sentence we are changing from direct speech to indirect speech. In order to find out the type of sentence which we have to change, we have to look at the sentence which is in the inverted commas. Okay. Once we decide what kind of sentence we are going to change, then we have to go for the places where we have to make changes. The first place is reporting verb, that is the verb outside the inverted commas. Second place is the substitution word, that means the word which we keep by removing the inverted commas. The third change is pronouns. Okay. If there are pronouns, we do change. If there are no pronouns, no need to change. Nouns are there, we keep them as they are. Okay. Next change, fourth change is verb forms, and the last one is general words. If there are any general words, we do change. If there are no general words, we need not to change. Got it? So there are 5 possible places where we have to make changes when we are changing a direct speech into indirect speech. Now what is the type of sentence we have taken now? We have taken assertive sentence. When we are changing an assertive sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, first thing, reporting verb. How do a reporting verb change? Let us see. Okay. So first one, in the direct speech there is say. So remember children, I am talking about assertive model only. These words are applicable to only assertive sentences. That means if the sentence in the inverted commas is a statement, then only these changes apply. Suppose if there is a question in the inverted commas, these changes doesn't apply. These changes don't apply. Remember that thing. So, okay. So I am discussing about assertive sentence. The changes we have to make to change an assertive sentence only. These words are applicable for only when we are changing a statement from direct speech to indirect speech. Got it? Very simple logic. If there is a statement, we do say, or we do said, or we do tell, or we do told. Suppose if there is a question in the inverted commas, we don't say a question, we don't tell a question, we don't said a question. What do we do with a question? We do ask. Common sense, simple logic. So you need not to think too much about rules. So think logically, you can get the answers. Okay. Statements are told, questions are asked. So when we are changing statements, we have to write say or tell or said or told. When we are changing questions, we have to write ask or inquired or wanted to know. That's all, simple logic. Okay. So for that matter, you need not go for any rules book, all those things. Okay. Use language. Language is learned best by using it, not by learning rules. Remember that thing. Okay. So simple logic, simple common sense point. Okay. Right. So now I am discussing about the changes we have to make for a statement when you are changing a statement from direct speech to indirect speech. Okay. The first change is reporting verb, that is the verb outside the inverted commas. So if there is say, it remains as say itself. Suppose sometimes says will be there. If there is says, same says, say to. That means after say if there is to, then it becomes tell. It becomes tell. Suppose if there is says to, yes, here also adds tells. It becomes tells. Okay. Now said. If there is said, said remains as said. Said to becomes told. Okay. Okay. These are the rules actually teachers or people say. But sometimes in the examination, you do learn all these things. If there is say remains as say to remains as say to becomes tell, said remains said to becomes told. You do by heart all these rules and you go to examination. In the examination, they give a sentence like this. Able announced, I am going to change my will. So all your theory vanishes. Our theory says say or say to or said to. But what is the word given there? Announced. So obviously you go into confusion. You need not go into confusion. Why? Because apart from these words, if any new word is given there in the examination in the given sentence, you just have to keep that word as it is. You need not to change it. Okay. If there is announced, keep it as announced itself. If there is declared, keep it as declared itself. If it is stated, keep it as stated itself. You need not to touch them, you need not to change them. Okay. If there are say or say to or said to, you have to change like this. If there is any other word, you have to keep the word as it is. Okay. So this is the first change, that is reporting verb. Now coming to the next change, when we are changing a statement from direct speech to indirect speech. Okay. The second change is link word. Okay, link word means the word which we have to write by removing the inverted commas. What is the word we have to write for assertive sentence? That is that. So that is suitable, appropriate when we are changing a statement from direct speech to indirect speech. Okay. Now coming to the one of the important things of changes, that is pronouns. Pronouns means how many types of pronouns are there? There are 3 types of pronouns. First person pronoun, second person pronoun, third person pronoun. These are personal pronouns. Okay. So first person I, we know that. Second person you, we know that. Third person he, she, it, we know that. Okay. And they is also there. Third person plural, they is also there. Okay. Right. So first person I, we. Second person you. Third person he, she, it, they. Now let us discuss the changes. If there is first person in the inverted commas, how it changes? Let us think about a sentence. Rama said to Sita. Okay. Rama said to Sita. Okay. I respect you. Rama said to Sita, comma, inverted commas begin, I respect you. That is the sentence. I have used two pronouns there in the inverted commas, I, you. I is first person, you is second person. How to change I? So simple. I refers to when Rama said to Sita, I respect you. I refers to whom? The subject of the reporting verb. What is the reporting verb there? Said. Rama said to Sita. Said to is the reporting verb there. The subject of the reporting verb is Rama. Object of the reporting verb is Sita. Very common. Okay. So I, the word I in the inverted commas, it refers to Rama. That is the subject of the reporting verb. So all the first person pronouns in the inverted commas, they should be changed according to the subject of the reporting verb. Obviously in the sentence I have taken how I becomes he. Why? I refers to Rama. Rama is a masculine gender. So he, singular, he, masculine gender, singular. Obviously I becomes he. Suppose if in the place of Rama there is any other name, that is maybe Kausalya, something like that. So Kausalya is a feminine gender, singular number. Obviously our I becomes she. Okay. So the rule to change the first person in the inverted commas is that first person pronouns changes according to the subject of the reporting verb. Okay. Similarly, second person changes according to the object of the reporting verb. For example, Rama said to Sita, I respect you. Now we have to change you. Okay. You is second person. What is the object of the reporting verb? Sita is the object there. Okay. You should be changed according to Sita. But here you should be very careful, children. You have to look at the place of the pronoun used in the quotations. I is used in subject place, whereas you is used in object place. So you cannot write you as she there. Why? Because you is not in the place of subject there. You is in the place of object there. What is the object to case of she? Her. What are the cases? There are subject to case, object to case, possessive case, reflexive case. Okay. So that means, for example, if it is I, me, my, myself. If it is we, us, our, ourselves. You, your, yourselves. Okay. And then he, him, his, himself. She, her, herself. Okay. It, its, itself. They, them, they, themselves. So when we are changing pronouns, you should be very careful looking at the case of the pronoun used there. If it is in the subject to case, change as subject. If it is in the object to case, change like object. If it is in the possessive case, change like possessive case. If it is in the reflexive case, change just like in reflexive case. So that is one thing you have to take care. So I would like to summarize this one. Pronoun changes. First person changes according to the subject of the reporting verb. Second person changes according to the object of the reporting verb. If there is, suppose if there is third person, that means he or she or it or they in the inverted commas. What do you have to do? There is nothing to look at. So you need not to change them. If there is he in the inverted commas, just keep it as he itself. You need not change it. So third person, it doesn't change. The changes takes place only for first person and second person. Okay. Third person, they don't change. They remain as they are. If there is he remains he. She remains she. They remains they. Them remains them. They remains there. That's all. Okay. You need not change third person pronouns. Suppose if there are nouns. If nouns are there, we need not change them. We know that thing. Okay. Only pronouns changes. So that is one of the important changes regarding pronouns. Now coming to the next one, verb forms. This is the crucial rule. Look at the screen, all of you. Okay. This is the crucial change to change a direct speech into indirect speech. All of you look at the screen once, please. Okay. The fourth change is verb forms. Okay. Verb forms. If you are able to change verb forms correctly, your speech, you will get a correct answer in while changing a direct speech in direct speech. Very easy. Okay. And to change a tense form, to change the verb form of the speech from changing direct speech to indirect speech, simple logic. Okay. If you are using more than one verb in a sentence, the common rule is that all the verbs must be in correspondence. That means if the first verb is in present tense, the remaining verbs must also be used in present tense. If the first verb is in past tense, the remaining verbs must also be used in past tense. That is a simple common thing. Of course, there are some exceptions. So apart from those exceptions, all the verbs in a sentence, whatever the number of the verbs we use, they should be in the same verb form. They should be in the same tense, except if they are followed by a modal, except if they are followed by to. There are some exceptions. Except those exceptions, the common rule is that all the verbs must be in the same form, verb form, same tense, that is the rule. Okay. So while changing a verb from direct speech to indirect speech in the inverted commas, the rules are, there are three cases there. First case is that, so the verb form change in the inverted commas is it depends on the verb which is outside the inverted commas, that is the reporting verb. So reporting verb determines the change of verb form in the inverted commas. So the first rule is that if the reporting verb is in the present tense, we need not to change verb forms in the inverted commas. That means Rama say I am happy, so say is present tense. So as it is in present tense, we need not to change the tense in the inverted commas. Rama say he is happy, am says is present tense, is present tense. So both are in the same verb form, both are in the same tense, that's enough. Okay. So if the reporting verb is in the present tense, we need not to change verb forms in the inverted commas, that is the first rule, to change the verb forms. Okay. Example, Nick says I am very lucky. The answer is Nick says that he is very lucky. Okay. What happened here? Says is in present tense, the reporting verb is in present tense. So we need not to change the verb form. Am is present tense, so am changes to is is also present tense. So says is, both are same. Now our answer is correct. Okay. So the first rule is that if the reporting verb is in present tense, we need not to change the verb forms in the inverted commas, that is the first rule. Now the second rule, second case, if the reporting verb is in the past tense, that means said or said to or something like that, then what happens? As it is in the past tense, all the verbs in the inverted commas, they must also go to past tense. That is a simple logic. Okay. If the reporting verb is in the past tense, all the present tense forms in the inverted commas, they should be changed into past tense forms. That means simple present becomes simple past, present continuous become past continuous, present perfect becomes past perfect, present perfect continuous tense become past perfect continuous. Okay. If there is simple past can be remained as simple past, or if you want to change, you can change it into past perfect also. Okay. If there is past continuous, you have to change it into past perfect continuous. If there are modals, that is will or shall or can or may, you have to change them into their second forms. That means will become would, shall become should, can become could. Okay. Like that. Okay. Right. So if the reporting verb is in past tense, all the verbs in the inverted commas, they should be changed into past tense. If the reporting verb is in the present tense, you need not to change the verb forms in the inverted commas. These are the two rules, very important. Okay. The second rule is very crucial, very important. Okay. So basing on the reporting verb, we have to change the verb forms. Look at the example for the second case. Nick said I am happy. Same sentence. In the first sentence, in the first case, I have taken Nick says, but here I have taken Nick said. Look at the difference. If there is says, tense remains the same. If there is said, obviously am became was, past tense. Why said is in past tense? We cannot write is here. If I write is here, what happens? You yourself can understand it is wrong. Why said is in past tense? Is in present tense. How it can be? So it can't do. That's why. So look at the reporting verb and then look at the other verbs in the given sentence. Then you can easily understand how to change them. Okay. Right. That is the second case. Now regarding verb forms, third case is that even though if the reporting verb is in past tense, if there are habitual actions and universal truths in the inverted commas, we need not to change them. So that is a general principle, common principle. Nick said honey is sweet. So look at the answer. Nick said that honey is sweet. Okay. Look at the answer here. Said is in past tense. As per our second case, what we have to do, is should become was. But I haven't changed is here. Why? Why haven't I changed is here? Because honey is always sweet. If I change is as was, what happens? It means that some time back it was sweet, but now it is not sweet. So that is not correct. So for general facts and universal truths, we need not to change the verb forms. Okay. So that is the exception for the second case. So these are the three rules for changing verb form in the inverted commas while we are changing direct speech into indirect speech. Very, very essential, very, very important to take note. Okay. Right. Now coming to the last one, general words. So when we are changing a direct speech and indirect speech, sometimes in the sentences we find these words. When these words are there in the given sentence, then we have to change them accordingly. So this becomes that, here becomes there, now becomes then, ago becomes before, today becomes that day, tomorrow becomes the following day, yesterday become the day before, next year the following year. Tomorrow can also be written as the day after, yesterday can also be written as the previous day. Okay. Next year the following year. So these are some of the general words. So these are the five changes 5 places where we have to make changes when we are changing direct speech into indirect speech. Okay children, so we are changing a direct speech into indirect speech. When we are changing a direct speech into indirect speech, there are 5 places. First one is reporting verb, and the second one is link word, third one is pronouns, fourth one is verb forms, and the fifth one is general words. We have discussed all these 5 changes. Now look at some examples. I have picked up some sentences from our textbooks for the asset to sentence. Look at the examples there. Look at the first example. Basing on the rules we have discussed, try to answer these 5 questions. First one, Abel said it's a bit late to say it now. I call it my chicken drumstick, joked Nick. It was very hard, but it gave me independence, said Nick. She was amazing, said Nick. Emilia said to Henry, we can do it before they come. Okay, so you may have a doubt. In some sentences, the reporting verb is at the beginning. In some sentences, the reporting verb is at the end. So he can give anyway. He can give the reporting verb in the beginning or at the end. It doesn't matter. Even though the reporting verb is at the end of the sentence, you have to bring it to the beginning of the sentence. Remember, while you are writing answer, you have to bring that reporting verb to the beginning of the sentence. Okay. Right. Let us discuss the answers. First one, Abel said, it is a bit late to say it now. That is the given question. Now how to answer it on? Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Try to answer it on. Try to change it into indirect speech. Able, said remains as said. Link word that. It remains as it. Is becomes was. It was a bit late to say. Say is actual present tense. We have to change it into past tense. But what is there in front of it is to. So after to, the general rule is that always the verb must be in its first form. So we cannot change it. So to say it now becomes then. So the answer would be, it was a bit late to say it then. That is the answer. Abel said that it was a bit late to say it then. That is the answer. Now look at the second one. I call it my chicken drumstick, joked Nick. Nick joked. As I told you, if there is any other word apart from say or say to or said or said to, we have to keep it as it is. So joked remains as joked. Nick joked. The link word is that. I becomes, according to Nick, I becomes he. Call becomes called. Okay, so Nick joked that he called it, my becomes his. It is in possessive case, his chicken drumstick. That is the answer. Nick joked that he called it his chicken drumstick. That is the answer. Now coming to the third one. Nick said that it was. Was is already in the past tense. You can keep it as was, or you can also change it into past perfect, had been. The past perfect form of was is had been. So Nick said that it had been very hard, but it gave me becomes him. It gave him independence. Okay. So Nick said that it was or had been very hard, but it gave, it is also past tense. You can keep it as past tense or past perfect. Gave or had given. Me becomes him. Okay, object case. It gave or had given him independence. That is the answer. Once again I am telling the answer. Nick said that it was very hard, but it gave him independence. That is the answer. Fourth one answer. Nick said that she remains as she. Was amazing. Was amazing is past continuous. You can change it into past perfect continuous. Nick said that she had been amazing. That is the answer. Now come to the fifth one. Emilia said to Henry, we can do it before they come. Emilia told Henry, said to becomes told. Emilia told Henry that they could do it before they came. Come becomes came. That is the answer. Look at the answer on your screen. Check your answers for a while. I am giving you 1 minute time. Look at the answers. These are the answers for the questions I have given, which I have already discussed. Okay, so this is about asset to modal. So in order to change an asset to sentence, these are the 5 places of change. This is how we have to change, and these are the examples. Now let us go to the interrogative modal. What is interrogative modal? Interrogative modal means questions. If there are questions in the inverted commas, how to change them? So remember children, questions are 2 types. What are the questions beginning with WH words? What are WH words? What, which, when, where, why, who, whom, whose, how. These are WH words. So questions beginning with these WH words are questions beginning with helping verbs. What are the helping verbs? Helping verbs are be, am, is, okay, was, are, were, have, has, had, okay, do, does, did, and then modals will, shall, can, may, would, should, could, might. These are all the helping verbs, auxiliaries. Okay. So there are two types of questions. One is questions beginning with WH words, questions beginning with helping verbs. So why we have distinguished here? Because while writing a link word, if the question begins with WH word, we need not write any link word there. So that's why we have to find whether the question began with the WH word or it began with a helping verb. By looking at that, we have to write helping verb. We have to decide whether we have to write a link word or not. Okay. So if the question begins with the WH word, we need not write any link word there. That means by removing inverted commas, we need not write any link word there. If the question begins with a helping verb, we have to write a link word. That's why we should be very careful in finding how the question began. So look at the given examples. I have given two types of examples. One is what is it doing there? That is the question beginning with WH word. Second one is Victoria said to Henry, are you planning to pinch it? R is a helping verb. So questions beginning with what is it doing there? WH words. Questions beginning with are you planning to pinch it? Helping verbs. Two types of questions. Now the changes. Same reporting verb and then link word and then pronouns and then verb forms. All this we have discussed. First one, reporting verb. In the said to model, as it is a statement, we wrote said or said to or say or tell or told. As it is a statement, we do tell or told or said statement. What about question? We ask question. That's why said or said to in the direct speech becomes asked or questioned or inquired. Okay. Either it is said or said to, it does not matter. You have to change them into asked or questioned or inquired. Okay. Now the second one is link word. So in the SI2 model, what is the link word we have written? The link word we have written is that there in the SI2 model. But here, as I have already discussed, by basing on the starting of the question, we have to write the link word. If the question begins with the WH word, we need not write any link word there. If the question begins with the helping verb, that is either am or is or are or was or were or do or does or did or and then have or has or had or will or shall or can or may or would or should or could or might, then we have to write link word there. What is the link word? If or whether. What is the spelling of the whether? W-H-E-T-H-E-R, not W-E-A-T-H-E-R. That is different. That is noun, whereas this is a conjunction. Okay. So if the question begins with a helping verb, then we have to write a link word. If the question begins with the WH word, we need not write a link word, right? Now the remaining changes, pronouns, verb forms, general words, they all change as per the SI2 model, same. So the changes inside the inverted commas, they are same to all the models. That means pronouns changes the same in SI2 model, interrogative model, imperative model and also exclamatory model. And verb form change the same in SI2 model, interrogative model, exclamatory model and then imperative model. Okay. General words changes the same in SI2 model, exclamatory model, interrogative model, imperative model. Okay. The only thing we have to change basing on the sentence given there in inverted commas is the reporting verb. That is simple logic. If a statement, we do say a statement. We do told, we do tell a statement. Question, we do ask a question. If it is some imperative, that means we do request, we do command something. Okay. So the only change that changes from type of sentence is the reporting verb and corresponding link word. These two are the two changes when we are changing direct speech from indirect speech. Okay, that changes. The remaining three changes, that is pronouns, verb forms, general words, they are the same to all the models. Once you learn, they are applicable to all the four types of sentences. Remember children? Okay. And when we are changing a direct speech to indirect speech, one more important thing we have to take care here is that in the direct speech we have a question, whereas in indirect speech we have to change that question into a statement. How to change a question into statement? That means we have to change the question mark at the end of the direct speech to a full stop. How to change a question mark to full stop? Can we simply erase a question mark and put a full stop there? It doesn't do. Structure should be changed. Look at this sentence. Is he a good boy? That is the question. Simple change. He is a good boy. That means helping verb plus subject. It should be turned to subject plus helping verb. Are you going? You are going. Will you come? You will come. Okay. Is she a good girl? She is a good girl. Okay. Can you speak English? You can speak English. Where are you going? Okay. Where you are going. How old are you? How old you are. So that is how we have to change the structure. That means in the questions we do have helping verb plus subject structure, whereas in the statements what do we have to write? We have to write subject plus helping verb. In the direct speech we do have a question mark at the end, whereas in the indirect speech you have to put the full stop. This is one important change we have to do while changing a question from direct speech to indirect speech. You have to remember this thing. Apart from the 5 rules, this is additional, very important. Now look at the screen. I have given some examples on interrogative model. Already we have done some examples in SI2 model. Now we have some examples on interrogative model. So these examples also are taken from our textbook. Look at the first question. Father said to the narrator, "Do you have a pair of old shoes?" That is the question. Second question. Abel said, "Who has gone dead?" Third question. He said, "What did I learn from this experience?" Fourth question. Zainalabdin said to his wife, "Why are you crying?" Fifth one. Emilia said to Victoria, "Don't you know your grandpa's dead? Grandpa is dead." These are the questions. Now we have to change them into indirect speech. How to change? Let us discuss. First one. Father said to narrator. Here the first one is said to. How do said to become? It is question. So there is a question in the inverted commas. So we have to write said to as asked. Father asked the narrator, and here the question begins with the helping. Do is a helping verb. So then we have to write a link code there. If father asked the narrator, if you have a pair of old shoes, you becomes you is second person. It should be changed according to the object, that is narrator. Narrator is, you know, he is a man, he. So if he have becomes had. Have is present tense, it should be changed to past tense. Actually the verb that determines tense there is do. Do is a helping verb which is used to write a question or to write a negative. So only to write a question, only to write a negative, it is useful. When we are changing, we need not change do. We should not change do to did. What do we have to change? We have to change the next verb that follows do. What is the verb that follow do here? Have here. So we have to change have here, not do. Got it? Okay. So the answer is father asked the narrator if you becomes he. Suppose if narrator is a woman, then it becomes she. But we know that in the generalization the narrator is a man. Yashi doji tongchi. So he. So father asked the narrator if he had a pair of old shoes. If he had a pair of old shoes. At the end, what do you have to keep? We have to keep a full stop, not a question mark. Remember, because why we have changed the structure. Do you have becomes he had. So he is subject, next verb. Subject plus verb is a statement, you know, right? Now the second question. Abel said, "Who has gone dead?" Abel inquired. We can write in the place of said, we can write inquired because there is question mark at the end there. So Abel inquired. So here the question began with a WH word. So we need not write a link word there. So Abel inquired who had gone dead. Who itself is a subject here. You need not search for any subject here. Okay. Abel inquired who had gone dead. At the end you have to keep a full stop. That is the answer. Next one. He said, "What did I learn from this experience?" He inquired or he asked or he wanted to know. You can write any word there in the place of said. Okay. He inquired. There is no need to write a link word there. What I becomes he. What he did is past tense. As I told you, when there is do or did, we need not change them. We have to change the verb that followed. What is the verb that followed? Learn. So what he learnt or had learnt. Did is past tense. Past tense remains as past tense, or we can also change it into past perfect tense. So if it remains as past tense, learn become learnt. If it becomes past perfect, had learnt. Okay. He inquired what he learnt, had learnt from, this becomes that experience. The answer is he inquired what he learnt or had learnt from that experience. That is the answer. At the end you have to keep full stop. Remember, Zainalabdin said to his wife, "Why are you crying?" Zainalabdin asked his wife why she was crying. You is second person wife, she. Are present as past tense was. So why she was crying. Are you becomes you are. So why she was crying. At the end full stop. Last one. Emilia said to Victoria, "Don't you know your grandpa's dead?" Emilia asked Victoria if she didn't know. Here there is negative. When there is not to do, we have to change it into past tense. If there is no negative not there, then we have to change the next verb. So here there is not here. So don't becomes didn't. Got it? So Emilia asked Victoria if she, Victoria is a girl, you know, if she, you is changing according to Victoria. So if she didn't know her grandpa was dead. Grandpa's means grandpa is dead, is becomes was. Okay, so these are the answers for this exercise. Look at the answers on the screen. I am giving you 1 minute time. Check the answers. These are the answers which you have discussed. So after this, we are going to have an interesting exercise from our textbook from Unit 5. That is, a conversation was given in our textbook and we are asked to change it into indirect speech. Let us look at it. Okay, got it? These are the answers for the examples I have given you for interrogative model. The first answer is father asked the narrator if he had a pair of old shoes. Second one answer, Abel enquired who had gone dead. Third one, he asked what he had learned from that experience. Fourth one, Jainuluddin asked his wife why she was crying. Fifth one, Emilia asked Victoria if she didn't know her grandpa was dead. So, these are the answers which we have discussed. Now, coming to our textbook exercise. This is in your textbook unit 5, that is biodiversity lesson. So, the structural item given is reported speech. Under that structural item, this exercise was given, a conversation was given between man and woman, and we were asked to report it. That means, let us take exchanges and let us change them into indirect speech. How many exchanges are there? Man, woman, one exchange. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.5 exchanges are there. Okay. Look at this one. Man is saying, this is a conversation between man and woman. Man is saying, I am doing a survey on shopping habits. Woman said, okay, as long as it doesn't take long. How we have to assume this one? Man said to woman, comma, inverted commas begin, I am doing a survey on shopping habits. That is the first one. Second one, woman replied, comma, inverted commas begin, okay, as long as it doesn't take long. Like that we have to take exchanges. Like that we have to take direct speech expressions. Then we have to change them into indirect speech. Okay. And the man says, how often do you eat hamburgers? Woman said, never, I am a vegetarian. I don't eat any animal products. Man said, right, can I just ask you a personal question? Are you wearing leather shoes? Woman said, yes, I am. Man said, don't you think that's rather hypocritical? Woman, no, not really. Man, oh, that's amusing. This is the conversation. Now, let us change sentence by sentence, dialogue by dialogue. First one, I am doing a survey on shopping habits. That is a statement. So, assertive model. Man said to woman, that means man told woman that he was doing a survey on shopping habits. That is the report of the first one. Second one, women replied, okay, as long as it didn't take long. That is the report of the second dialogue. Third one is interrogative sentence. Okay, man enquired or man asked, how often she becomes ate. How often she ate hamburgers? Women, never. Women replied or women said, never. She was I am a vegetarian becomes she was a vegetarian. She didn't eat any animal products. Man said, right. And next one is a question, and enquired, if I becomes he can becomes could. If he could just ask remains as ask. Why? Because after modals the verb must be always in its first form. Okay, after could verb must be asked, not asked. After would or should or could or might, after modals the verb must be always in its first form. So, man enquired, man asked if he could just ask you her a personal question, and asked if she was wearing leather shoes. That is the report of the dialogue. Next one is women replied, yes, she was. Women replied that, yes, she was. Next one, man enquired if she didn't think that was rather hypocritical. Women said, no, not really. Man said, oh, or man exclaimed that was amazing. So, this is the report of this conversation. Look at the screen. I have written all the answers exchange by exchange, exchange by exchange. So, the answer for the first exchange is man told woman that he was doing a survey on shopping habits. Woman said, okay, as long as it didn't take long. Man asked woman how often she ate hamburgers. Woman said, never. She was a vegetarian. She didn't eat any animal products. Man said, right, and enquired if he could just ask her a personal question. He asked her if she was wearing leather shoes. Woman said yes, she was. Man asked her if she didn't think that was rather hypocritical. Woman replied, no, not really. Man exclaimed that it was amusing. So, this is the report of the given conversation. Okay. Okay, children, so far you have discussed about how to change a direct speech from direct speech into indirect speech, and you have discussed that there are 4 models while changing direct speech and indirect speech. The first model is assertive, the second one is interrogative, third one is imperative, fourth one is exclamatory, and we have discussed the first 2 models, that is assertive and then interrogative model. We have discussed all the rules, and we have also gone through some examples. Okay. And we have also done one exercise from our textbook, and I would like to give you a homework basing on this rules we have discussed. Okay. All of you look at the screen. Look at the screen. That is the homework for you. Try to answer these questions. This is the examination model. In the examination, they do give like this, and you are asked to change it into indirect speech. Okay, the first one is, Henry, where are my slippers? Emilia, they are in the kitchen, in the form of a conversational dialogue. Okay, right. Next one, Mrs. Slater, don't you know your grandpa is dead? Victoria, no, I saw him getting up. Father, do you have a pair of old shoes? Son, yes, I have. Reporter, where did these big lorries come from? Sunday, Nana, they came from Italy. NHK radio, how was the environment when you were a child? Wangare Mata, it was pristine. So, these are the examples for you for homework. I will tell you one example. Henry, where are my slippers? Henry asked Emilia where his slippers were. Emilia replied that they were in the kitchen. Like that, you have to write the answers. Okay, children. Right. So, this is speech, reported speech, changing direct speech from direct speech into indirect speech. Okay. Right. Now, before going to conclude, I would like to just remind you of the FA1 examination, Formative Assessment 1. Okay. Respected Director SCRT Pratap Reddy sir in his recent meeting has announced that 10th class children are going to have formative assessment on 6th, 7th and 8th this month. So, prepare well for that formative assessment. The syllabus also has been announced, that is first 2 units. In the first unit you have some textual grammar, in the second unit also you have some textual grammar. So, prepare all the lessons as well as the textual grammar and write the examinations very well. Before going to conclude, I would like to thank all the Doordarshan officials and also our state education department officials for giving me this opportunity. Okay, children, take care and prepare well for your FA1 examination. And you can also watch all these videos by subscribing to DD Saptagiri YouTube channel. So, please subscribe to DD Saptagiri YouTube channel and watch all these videos for the benefit of your examination, for the benefit of your knowledge. Thank you very much.
ఆ కార్యక్రమంపై మీ అభిప్రాయాలు తెలియజేయగలరు. యూట్యూబ్ www.youtube.com/c/dd Saptagiri.
స్క్రీన్ మీద కనబడుతున్న QR కోడ్ ని స్కాన్ చేయడం ద్వారా DD Saptagiri యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ని వీక్షించగలరు. మరిన్ని అప్డేట్స్ కోసం DD Saptagiri యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి.
ఈమెయిల్ ddSaptagiri@gmail.com. Facebook www.facebook.com/dd Saptagiri. Twitter twitter.com/dd Saptagiri VJA. Instagram www.instagram.com/dd Saptagiri.